Soul Garden.
Hello, welcome to Soul Horoscopes Weekly Edition. I'm your host of the universe, Christopher Witecki. And for one more week only during the Mercury retrograde, if you buy a 1-hour reading with me, you can get 30-minute free follow-up anytime in 2012. This is the perfect special if you want to get hit twice in a given year, so we can make sure to catapult you to your personal heartfelt destiny. And it's also fascinating to hear about you for an hour, right? Or 90 minutes. And also don't forget to come down to our Home Away from Home, our Facebook Away from Facebook, soulgarden.me. We've got a whole bunch of things going on down here, a support network. We're off the grid, and you can be yourself. So come set up a little extra shop. Right now we're doing a lot of focusing on light casting, if you can't see below, with our writing staff and what they're talking about. So the buzz is on the mothership. Now with the Aquarians, it's kind of it's an interesting transit this particular month. It certainly has been an interesting start to 2012. I mean, if you're starting to think about this whole potential Mayan thing, if the universe was going to suddenly do something crazy this year, certainly the beginning of the year sort of points to it, doesn't it? Right now you are working on your intellectual state of awareness, your thoughts and your mind. And last weekend I had predicted that you would pull your head out of Uranus, or literally think in a new compound way, in a new profound way. Now looking back, talking to my clients, seeing what most of this was for people, this was the removal, from what I understand from Aquarius, of certain filters, things you didn't look at, reasons you didn't look at it, things your mind refused to think about, or for instance, still seeing things through your parents or childhood views. I'm hearing all kinds of stories, but certainly people are shifting out of it and there is a breakthrough. What you're going to work on this particular week is now running with this new idea, running with this new attitude, running with this new primary assumption in life. And intellectually, you know, as Aquarius is, since you are innovators, since you are here to push the envelope, to be the best you can be, to find the innovation between the cracks, this does mean that you yourself do need to stand on some sort of intellectual platform. Right? If you're going to be an innovator, you've got to be solid, like an Aries with your thoughts. Makes total sense the way the God universe set this up. So as we start off on Monday, you're really restoring balance and order to your thoughts again. This whole intellectual quantum leap might have played out with a fight with someone. It might have played out with something kind of aggressive in the last week or so. And if it did, you can restore peace to that on Monday. Emotions on Monday are in Taurus, and they're crossing over Jupiter and Venus. What this means is, as you are starting to restore peace and order to your thoughts and to your mind, and starting to get a direction on where you're going, you will feel a new sense of security in yourself. This quantum leap is going to bring a feeling of security. That's what Jupiter is doing, is expanding your potting soil, expanding your garden's overall ability to ground, expanding your ability to deal with your emotional field and feel more comfortable yourself, to self-nurture as well. So you start to feel that self-nurturing. This soul pyramid will break apart at the end of the week, and its work will be done, which is kind of interesting, and we'll be talking about that as well. This red line still represents fear that by stepping into this new mindset, something bad might happen, which is your old karma, the old things that used to happen. So you have to still have inner faith and hold your own inner faith as you're making these changes for yourself, and probably very privately, knowing you Aquas. Moving to Tuesday, it's a Neptune day, it's a cloudy day, it's a spiritual day, frankly, on Tuesday, and it's a day of a yod. A yod is basically an isosceles triangle in space. It usually points to one planet, but I'm going to call this a yod. This is interesting. It's pointing to two, so to speak, that are kind of widened. I'm calling it a dilated yod. And really what a yod is God's finger, as they say in space. God giving you the finger, says astrologers, really pointing about what you should focus on. So this actually began through the quantum leap we went through over the weekend, and I didn't catch it until I started shooting these horoscopes, and I was like, wow, I forgot to report on a yod. So here we are. It's wrapping up on Tuesday and Wednesday, but what it's putting focus on is this dual planet nature. On the one hand, your new quantum thinking. On the other, thinking backwards about what does that mean for your wealth and your valuable consciousness. You're going to go back with this Mercury retrograde and reconsider some of your soul capital of last transit now that you're having such profound, cool stuff going on here in the direction. And in this particular case, these two planets are pointing in the direction of Saturn and pointing in the direction of Mars, and connecting to these two parts of our development, which for you is having to, if this is going to happen, change what you believe, and on the other hand, Mars retrograde, pulling back on your daily, pulling back on your boundaries, if that's going to be the case. Moving on, one last thing, office hours. If you need help, come down on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're really getting this polished. Office hours, 11 a.m. Pacific time. Our Soul Mart practitioners are on camera for free to kind of give a little bit of advice. We can all learn from each other, and we have a lot of people developing as light workers in the chat room. So come on down to office hours. I'm all scattered. Lots going on this week. Moving on to Wednesday, it really is hump day on Wednesday, Aqua, because you're going to make decisions about what you want to step away from. This might be the formal decision to step away from the old attitude, the old filtered thinking, whatever it is that it's coming out. Now, for some of you who are writers or messengers, this all may play out this month in like what you're writing, your book, your novel, your blog, you know, your message. That's very common as well for those of you who are messengers in life. So we're deciding what we want to step away from on Wednesday. At the same time, Mercury is saying we're redeciding. So as you step away from this attitude, you officially reprice yourself or have a preliminary decision about changing your prices once again. That's with Mercury retrograde on Wednesday. Moving on to Thursday, we immediately now act on what that decision is. You want to move forward. And on this particular day, these red lines are showing how fear heats up. There's fear that bubbles up from wanting to move forward, wanting to step in this new attitude and actually speaking up and putting it into action, your new thinking into action, will trigger fear in two directions. On the one hand, again, stepping away from the old karma, the old story, whatever your karmic stuff is, it probably ties into whatever your karmic stuff is. So you have a karmic issue with feeling empowered around women, something about this new attitude is going to make you trigger that issue, right? At the same time, Mercury and then the Sun later will then square the Moon. The Moon is in Gemini at this point, and so emotional focus has shifted to your inner child. So now, on Thursday, by acting and stepping forward the new attitude, your inner child is worried about its dreams coming true, and you have to go through that with your mind and then carry that through your whole soul. So the universe is just making us shake things off, you know, almost like a dog that's wet after a bath, right? Then Friday, the universe turns around and God gives us the finger again with her other hand. Now we are moving to the direction of Saturn. This is a true yod because it points to one planet. So the universe is saying after all this shifting, after stepping away from your old thinking, now do a little bit of recalculating of beliefs. So on Friday and Saturday, the universe is yodding toward your belief structure. So if you're going to change your thoughts, then you got to change what you officially believe in. Some monk has got to go back and change the Bible. Right? So you've got to go back and change the Bible, go back and rewrite some of your belief structure. Makes a total lot of sense, or at least accept the fact that you were wrong if you're changing your beliefs, right? Hey, we're all wrong. It's all relative. It doesn't matter. At the same time, the square is heating up and still continuing, and there's this other opposition with the Moon. The Moon moves in, from Gemini and starts to move into Cancer, and when it does, you're having to resolve daily lifestyle changes. Your body might start to feel all these changes, and you have to kind of keep that in balance with keeping the faith, keeping the faith, keeping the faith. So the universe is putting us through a yoga pose, to say the least. Now, on Friday, don't forget, SG Live, Carolyn Engel and myself are live with our webcam radio show. Right now, we are talking about courage. That's what Aries is about. Courage, strength, stepping forward. How does one do it? Our guest, Bernadette Morgan, is the Zodiac Director of Aries for the Garden. So come on down, listen in, or watch over the weekend. We do record these shows. Then on Saturday, everything comes to kind of a climax. And you know, it's nice that the universe always structures my new weekly horoscopes to where climax is on Saturday or Sunday. It really is nice, thanks God. But I really don't make this stuff up. The yod does come to its full climax, so you really will have to make some belief structure changes if you haven't already, says the yod. And then this soul pyramid breaks. Many weeks, if you've been watching Soul Garden, this soul pyramid has been in effect. And it was the Holy Shift pyramid. Well, what happens is when the two planets break at the bottom, there's kind of a disturbance in the force in these two areas of the client's life. So as things break on Saturday, your sense of security will go through a minor earthquake, a little bit of tremor there. And then also Mars on the other side will be shaking and rolling and rocking in Virgo retrograde. And the Mars Virgo retrograde is gonna continue, which is saying that boundaries have to change as well. You're gonna step into different boxes, different boundaries, different comfort zones. It's not anything you haven't already done because it's a retrograde of Mars, so it's going back over boundaries you've already covered, but they're boundaries that you might have a different opinion on now that all these other changes are in effect. The moon still in Cancer during this particular day, making you hyper aware, to say the least. But that does change tomorrow. In fact, let's move to tomorrow. On Sunday, things kind of end in a nice, rosy, sunny rainbow day. Jupiter rules the day, so your mind is positive, it's optimistic. A lot of the planet connections have now let loose, so we're kind of feeling, I think, at peace, only because the universe isn't picking on us so much. The moon moves into Leo. This emotional shift then moves into relationships. So Sunday is a date day, a sentimental day, a romantic day, a day of restoration of your body and health, but also connecting to those that you love as well, if that's what you want. All right, Aqua, that's all I got for the 7-day forecast. As you know, we're getting the finger twice from God. We got a lot going on, so hold it together and see me back here in 7. Until then, live, love, be.